Really, all we have to work with right now is this white paper. What kind of questions do you have?
Well, we start with we know that, and the country feels increasingly that way, that Facebook is too powerful. We are skeptical when we hear of a Facebook running what we think, and I think I speak for senators in both parties and for most of my constituents in Ohio, that running a risky cryptocurrency operation out of a Swiss bank account. And it's unregulated, and so there are no rules. Facebook, we know they've earned the skepticism, perhaps the cynicism that people have about them and their operation. We will have a lot of questions. We want to know how they're going to do this. We want to know we want to figure out what kind of rules we can put in place. The world currency system has taken decades, maybe centuries to build. And somebody like Facebook, with the power of the market that they have, is a concern to us.
Senator, you mentioned that Facebook has earned skepticism. How much of this pushback is the nuts and bolts of this specific product, and how much of it is just the fact that Congress doesn't believe that Facebook has its existing products under control?
Well, it's all that. It's the newness to the public of the whole idea of cryptocurrency. The fact that it's unregulated by and large, and the U.S. has moved slowly. The fact that we have a White House that looks like a retreat for Wall Street executives. I mean, this White House always comes down on the side of Wall Street and the largest corporations in the world, and has shown no real interest in reining in these big tech companies as they get more voracious and hungrier and more profitable and more willing to do things that are not in the public interest but are in their personal interest. That's why the Senate Banking Committee's got to take this up. You have a White House standing on the sidelines, and a huge, increasing, fast-growing company like Facebook coming to play this way.
Well, the Federal Reserve is an independent regulator, and Fed Chair Jay Powell said yesterday that it met with Facebook. If the Fed didn't see reason to stop Facebook from announcing this and gave it the green light to go ahead, why should Congress take issue?
Well, Congress should take issue because we represent the American public, and the American public is increasingly concerned about the power of Facebook and increasingly unaware of what can happen with these risky cryptocurrencies coming out of a Swiss bank account. I mean, that sentence alone strikes enough fear, if more than concern, in the minds of a whole lot of people in this country that saw what happened 10 years ago when our financial system, when Wall Street misfeasance and malfeasance and overreach and greed brought our economy almost to its knees. We don't want an unregulated, huge, fast-growing Facebook with its cryptocurrency out of a Swiss bank account coming in and wreaking the kind of havoc it could. We don't know those answers yet. We don't know their plans yet, but they're moving a year from now, so we've got to be ready.
Does the partnership structure with companies like Uber and MasterCard and Square make it any more palatable to you, at least in the early going, to have a first conversation?
Well, I'm always willing to have the first conversation. It doesn't allay my concerns, nor does it allay the concerns, I think, of large numbers of senators in both parties on the banking committee here and off the banking committee, nor the concerns of 12 million people in Ohio whom I represent. So I don't necessarily trust the credit card companies, Wall Street. I don't want to cast too wide a brush, but again, back to the collective amnesia that far too many on this committee behind me seem to be experiencing to deregulate much of the financial sector, when it was the financial sector that almost brought the economy to its knees 10 years ago. So this is all related, and Facebook forming alliances with some of the players that helped to hurt the economy a decade ago doesn't at all allay my concerns.
So what's your desired outcome here, Senator? Is this a fact-finding mission? Do you hope to introduce regulation for these type of instruments? Or do you want to stop Facebook from being able to roll this out?
I don't know the answer to that. I want to know more. I think the public needs to know more. The point of congressional hearings is certainly to inform members of Congress, but it's also to inform the public. We know this will get wide play on CNBC and elsewhere. And that's important. We want to bring in the regulators to figure out what they're going to do. I am generally skeptical of Trump administration regulators because they have almost always been in the pockets of Wall Street and the big players in the financial system. I don't know their relationships with big tech companies, but the public has been unrepresented in all of this, frankly. So often when it comes to Wall Street and now with these big tech companies, and that's my job to make sure the public has a seat at the table, that my 12 million constituents in Ohio and 300 million plus across the country are more aware of what this is and more prepared for what might happen.
Finally, has the committee established a framework for how they think digital payments will evolve? I mean, we're not going to use cash and credit cards forever, and we have a whole generation of Americans who are still unbanked and might look to this as a solution.
Well, you're going to hear Facebook talk about their empathy for all the unbanked in this country. I'm sure they're going to do that. I'm a bit mistrustful of the empathy that they pretend. I know Facebook finds a new opportunity here, and they're a private company, more power to them. But it's up to us, and just like I fight every day to make sure the polluters stop polluting Lake Erie, I understand it's maybe in their economic interest to do that, just like it's economic interest of Facebook to find new ways of making money. But I represent the public, not Facebook, and I want them to thrive as I want companies to thrive. But ultimately, I want consumers. And I want a safe safe banking system, a better economy that's good for everyone, not just a few billionaires in the Silicon Valley.